Okay. Good morning, everyone. If you could all sit down for the reading, please. So, today's reading is 1 Thessalonians, chapter 2, verses 1 to 8. It's entitled Paul's Ministry in Thessalonica. Okay. You know, brothers and sisters, that our visit to you was not without results. We had previously suffered and been treated outrageously in Philippi, as you know, but with the help of our God, we dared to tell you his gospel in the face of strong opposition. For the appeal we make does not spring from error or impure motives, nor are we trying to trick you. On the contrary, we speak as those approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel. We are not trying to please people, but God, who tests our hearts. You know we never used flattery, nor did we put a mask to cover up greed. God is our witness. We were not looking for praise from people, not from you or anyone else, even though, as apostles of Christ, we could have asserted our authority. Instead, we were like young children among you. Just as a nursing mother cares for her children, so we cared for you. Because we loved you so much, we were delighted to share with you not only the gospel of God, but our lives as well. The word of the Lord.
Thank you, Anthony. Our guest speaker this morning is a familiar face, Sam Curkpatrick from Global Missions Partners. Thanks again, Sam, for joining us.
No, not at all.
Why don't we give him a warm round of applause as he shares God's word with us this morning.
Morning, everyone. It's good to be here again. This is all bumping around. Sorry about that. I think it was actually my first sermon in this role was here at Monash, probably about 3.5 years ago now, and then it was good to see some of you again at the mission dinner. But I just want to say thank you for your ongoing support for some of the work that happens through Churches of Christ. It's really been fantastic, very generous over the last year, and for many years now, and we really appreciate not only that, but your enthusiasm and connection with us in many different ways. Caleb, is he here today? Young Caleb, fantastic effort. If he's here, there he is. Well done, young fella. Fantastic effort with Safe Water September. He's smaller than I thought. And also the work in Vietnam that I'll be sharing a little bit of an update with you as I speak. But first, we heard from Paul's letter there, and I'll explore that in more detail. But he gives us a picture of mission, and we often have lots of different ideas or pictures of what mission might be about. And I think a bucket is a good way to illustrate some of those understandings of mission. And the first we often come up with, and often someone yells it out, is that they think I'm going to pass the bucket around and collect some cash. That's one way we think of the resources that we have in abundance, because we have much in abundance, and out of our generosity and goodness, we share those things with others. So that's one thought about mission. Another thought about mission, and some of you might have been on overseas trips or experiences out in the community where you're told by the leader to empty your expectations, to go with an empty bucket, and you're filling that up with new experiences and ideas and bringing that back. That's another approach to mission. But today I want to talk about mission as turning the bucket upside down, putting it in the dust, sitting down beside our neighbour. Because it's when we sit down on a bucket with our next door neighbour, that we really get to know them, that we really come to share the story of God's love with them in who we are. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. The gospel of friendship. And I think this image is probably appropriate for today, but it's another one that gives a bit of a picture of this. These are some guys I've had a lot to do with. My previous work and study was in Indigenous music. And I spent a lot of the time up in the Northern Territory in a community called Ngukor in Arnhem Land, sitting down with these guys. We did lots of documentation projects. We made recordings of traditional song and stories. We did lots of things. But out of those years of research, what has been lasting for me has been the friendships. What has been enduring from that time of my life have been the people that I got to know, and the times that we spent sitting down in the dust just sharing our lives together. Now, in Nooka, they speak a language called Creole. Creole's been spoken there since the missionaries arrived in about the 1910s. And it's the first language that was chosen by the Bible Society to complete a complete translation of the Old and the New Testament. Creole is spoken by about 30,000 people across the top end of the country, but there's no easy word to translate to be or to exist. And so you have to get creative with metaphors. And when we come to the beginning of John, and we have the phrase, "In the beginning was the Word," in the beginning was. This is a difficult concept to translate this was. And so in Creole we get, in the beginning, the Word sat down. In the beginning the Word sat down, it became flesh and sat down beside us. Let's try a little bit now. I'm going to get you guys to repeat after me. This is some Creole here. And imben kamen, and imben kamen. Oh, let's do that again. A bit louder, please. And imben kamen, and jidan, langamelabad. And he came and sat amongst us or beside us. You youngsters are still in here, so this is a good thing for you to do. I want you to think about a friend that you've got. And I want you to think, how did you meet this friend? How did you come to be their friends? Probably they're a classmate or someone from next door. But often, we don't choose our friends. They just happen. They just come along. Oftentimes, they're just somebody that we encounter in everyday life, and we develop a friendship with them. I have some very strange friends. Some of my friends are very odd, but I didn't choose them. They just happened to come along. Life throws us together, and we develop friendships with the unlikeliest of people. So if we think about what makes a good friendship, there's a couple of things that stand out to me. The first is that we're generous with our friends. We talk about sharing a meal with them. But we give our time to others as well. We're there for them when they need us. We share what we have with them. We get along. This is being generous. Another factor about having friends, I think, is being honest. You tell the truth to your friends. If they come up to you and say, "Do I look funny in this?" Yeah, you do. But that's okay, you're my friend. We're always honest with our friends. We can talk to them when things are tough. They are always someone that will tell us the truth if we ask for it. These two words, generosity and honesty, are very biblical concepts. In the Bible, we get them expressed in the words grace and truth. You've probably heard these words used to describe God. God and Jesus, full of grace and truth. The presence of God in our midst in grace and truth, who makes the heart of God known to us. So I'm slowly building a case for mission as friendship. And this is something central to the story of Jesus and his presence as he comes and sits down amongst us. Let me recap a few of the words here from Paul. And Paul here is talking about the spread of the church as it moves beyond Jerusalem. And here in Thessalonica, in modern-day Greece, the church has grown and spread. And Paul writes back, remembering his time amongst the church. What's interesting, though, and as I read these words again, I want you to think about the tone of the letter. I want you to think about the quality of the friendship between Paul and these people in Thessalonica. We never came with words of flattery or with a pretext for greed, nor did we seek praise from mortals. But we were gentle among you, like a nurse tenderly caring for her children. So deeply do we care for you, that we are determined to share with you not only the gospel of God, but also our own selves, because you have become very dear to us. When we think about mission, we often think about the Great Commission at the end of Matthew. Go and make disciples of all nations, teaching them, baptizing them, proclaiming to them. But this picture from Thessalonians enriches our thinking of what this call to mission might look like. It's a passage that doesn't immediately come to mind, but it provides a picture of the surprising tenderness of mission. The proclamation of Matthew is bold and ambitious. Matthew might be standing on the bucket like a soapbox, but Paul describes the spread of the church as something that happens with warmth and intimacy and care and a love between friends who, decades later, write letters to each other and remember their time together. Paul is a friend who serves others, and it's not an easy path as he goes on to describe the suffering and persecution that he meets. Now, in this letter, Paul chooses an interesting word to describe proclamation. Proclamation, that thing that we talk about, sharing the good news with others. And he uses a word in Greek which is laleo, but it really means speaking or chatting or using everyday words in everyday situations. What he's really saying is this: go and make disciples of all nations, chatting to them, gossiping the gospel. This idea of proclamation, of mission, is something that each of us are empowered to do, not to speak with fancy words and ideas, but to chat, to share our hearts, in everyday words, in our friendships, to invite others into a living relationship and the living story of Christ. This is perhaps the best image I could find of this sort of mission. And this is what we discover in Paul's letter. More than the activities of mission and outreach, we discover the character of the gospel which is spread as Paul and the church share their lives with others. This letter is a conversation between friends who care for each other despite great distances between them and many years since they met. And your slogan out on the front about being a community in the community, full of community, something like this, speaks to this wonderfully. Mission begins as we share our lives with others. And as Aaron anticipated this morning, by this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. So I'm going to share a few snapshots of what this looks like. We had from Paul one snapshot of what this picture of mission looks like, and I'm going to share a few contemporary examples from our wider family as the Churches of Christ. And the first of these, you probably remember, actually here's some of that family, some of those people that we work with and we share our greater life as a global church with some of the leaders. And you probably remember from the Christmas appeal that you took up, the Cocoa Christmas offering, and that was, we led with a story from South Sudan for that. And in South Sudan, young people are leading the way. People this old are enacting this gospel of friendship in their schools and making a huge difference to the communities in which they live. You might know South Sudan is the newest country in the world, but it's been racked by civil war for many decades now, and to date there's been 2 million people displaced. The newest project that we have in South Sudan is here at this Church of Christ in the capital, Juba, and it's also known as the Unity Church of Christ for a good reason. It was started by these two pastors. One is a Dinka man and one is a Nuer man, two ethnic and tribal groups. And these are the two groups that have been fighting in the civil war. We've got the government and the opposition, opposing armies, all sorts of things. They've been trying to build peace in South Sudan for many, many years, and they haven't been able to do it. But these two had a vision that they would plant a church that brought together these two tribes, Dinka and Nuer, to give witness to the Christian gospel of peace. And they have been able to do what government and civil society have not been able to do. So this is the Unity Church of Christ in Juba. And they've started these projects in local high schools. There's 25 high schools now involved. And this is the program that Christmas offering was going to support. The point of these workshops run by students is to do peace-building exercises, conflict solving, games, to learn how to solve disputes among friends and in the schoolyard and at home and in the community. And one of the students who runs one of these groups, Martha, she says that her aim is to show kids that we are no longer Dinka and Nuer. She says this, these are her words: "Before the war, we were in different tribes, but now we are not separated by tribes." It's by supporting projects like this that we can help others discover what it is to become friends and to get along. And so we might ask ourselves in our community how we get along with others. This is the beginning of mission. Something else that you may remember hearing about at various mission dinners and updates is the work of the Churches of Christ in Vietnam. And it's a very, very long name. We just call it BPADPO for short, but you can read what it is there. It's a significant project, and obviously the connection going back here at Monash with John, Lan, Dean, who originally set this up a decade or so ago. And the project is aimed at improving the living conditions of families and people in a rural province, Binh Phuoc, in Vietnam, where they're living with disabilities or extreme poverty. And the focus of the program has been on building toilets and sanitation facilities. This expanded in recent years to do community workshops on sanitation and things like that as well. The scale of the project, just to give you a sense, has been $70,000 over 3 years. So it's a big project. It's doing a lot of work. And where we have things like the National Disability Insurance Scheme, NDIS, and take that for granted, places like this, a lot of these people would not get support. Otherwise, this is just a few weeks ago with the opening of a new tank in this province, and also a new well in a community that gives people access to some safe drinking water. Mrs. Q is one single woman who we heard from this latest round of installation. And she's had a hard life. She works as a labourer. She's reportedly, the report said she has nervous issues. We can only take that to mean she's got some sort of lessened capacity to function socially. And her income's about $1 to $1.20 a day. She lives in the middle of a cashew garden, and that's where she was having to go to the toilet. And just this year in January, she was provided with a new toilet, and she says, "I'm not shy now." She says, "I'm not shy now." Her capacity to engage with people has been enriched. She's no longer shy. Why? She was asked. "Because your organisation and the local government built this facility, and I'm very happy because I no longer have neighbours looking at me when I go to the toilet." sometimes building friendships and community and a capacity in people to have that ability to function socially starts with something as simple as a toilet. And we see this changing lives in places like Vietnam. Apparently she was laughing a lot when she told everyone this story and was thanking them for the toilet. The church in Vietnam, Church of Christ in Vietnam, is a loose network of house churches. Oh, not a loose network of house churches, a network of house churches. And there's 27 who identify and meet together to work on things like leadership development and training that we can support. But the difficulties in Vietnam, not only for evangelism, but also for having a legitimate presence as a church. They meet in secret in these places, and there's a picture of the leader of this network, Pastor Duan, up the front there. And this is something that she's spoken about. Actually, Stella and Amanda and a few others, Peter Broadbent, when he was here, met her when she came out and we had afternoon tea out the back there. And she says this about building the church in Vietnam. The church is held together by love, empathy, and forgiveness, and it can only grow if we live by these things. The church in Vietnam is living this every day, and they have to start by loving their neighbours. Otherwise, there's no legitimate presence for them in Vietnam. And funnily enough, where it's illegal to meet as the church, the congregations are discovering that the most powerful presence that they can have in their communities is eating with others in local cafes. And so they have church at 7:45 in the morning. And after that, they all go and have breakfast together. And where they have to meet in secret, suddenly they're allowed to meet in open and make new connections with those in the community around them. I think that's a wonderful story. Caring for others can change lives. And the presence of Jesus can be shown in our care for others as well. So we might ask ourselves this: how is the character of Jesus made visible in your life, community, and friendships? And finally, I thought I'd just share the newest project, which is so new it hasn't even been put up on our website yet. And that's the International Christian College of Manila. And over the past few years, we've been developing this relationship with the leadership there and looking for ways that we, as the church in Australia, can support their work there. Just out of Manila, in a place, I forget the name, but it's just out of Manila. And the college trains young students in ministry and teaching, equipping them with the skills that they need to be the next generation to lead the churches in the Philippines. The college started in the year 2000 and has just over 100 students now. And their goal is this. As a shot of the library. Their goal is this: to see the world's needs through God's eyes and to meet those needs. How do we know the needs of our neighbour if we don't sit down beside them? How do we know how God might meet those needs if we do not see those needs first? So as we come to develop a relationship with this college, there's a few reasons why this is important. First of all, there's a high youth unemployment in the Philippines, and so where we can help encourage education and the development of career options, this does a lot to open the future of teachers and pastors. It also helps build confidence and practical pathways for those kids. Number two is that Protestant churches are very much a minority in the Philippines, and so it's really important that we are helping to train and equip leaders in that sense. The program has good levels of local funding, but enabled to secure a future, to actually grow, they need external support. And also, they're a part of our Church as a Christ family, and if we don't help them, no one else will. So we're looking to expand this program, and the reason I talk about it today is because there's lots of opportunities to go and spend some time at the college. I'd love to talk to you more about possibly relationships that you might develop with some of the students here. As I'll leave you with a couple of short clips, just from three individuals here at the college I'd like to ask you this. How are we coming alongside our wider family as the church and helping them and working together in partnership? As Christians, we are not just sent, but we are called to be like the sender, to carry the message of Jesus in who we are, in the way that we relate to others. We can show them a lot about Jesus, and our love for those around us can change lives. So I'll get Joe just to maybe play these 3 quote clips. But again, when we're talking about Paul's letter, not just the activities of mission, let's think about the quality of mission. And I think you'll hear from these students a certain infectious joy, a naive joy as they go about their work of discovering what it is to be disciples today. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the time coming here. I'm going to pass around a sign-up sheet if anyone would like to hear further news from these projects. There's a monthly newsletter, so I'll pass this around. Thank you, Joe. If you could play this video, I'll be around to chat after.
Right, when you're ready. Okay. Hi, I'm Rick Garcia. I'm currently the president of International Christian College of Manila. And I may say that this school or this college is not just an ordinary school, but it is a school for the future leaders of the church, because one of our purposes here is to train all the students for the ministry, for the service of our Lord Jesus Christ. And in this point of time, I am saying that we are grateful that GMP is one of our partners, and we are hoping, we are praying that this is not just a one-time partnership, but a lifetime partnership. Not only partnership, but a companionship in the servanthood. So for this time also, we are hoping and we are praying that GMP will continue the ministry of helping others, specifically those who are in the depressed areas, and also helping the people, specifically the students, like the students of ICCM, for in their planning of being future leaders of the church. And we are also praying that may God always bless GMP and its people and their families, so that they may continue the work of God in this for the spreading of His word and for the spreading of His kingdom here on earth. So again, thank you very much, GMP, for your help to ICCM, and we may God bless us all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready when you are. So if you look about here, so can you tell us your name, please?
My name is June Eric F. Estepona. I'm 22 years old, and I am a second-year student major in ministry.
And what do you enjoy about your course?
I enjoy to again, sir.
That's okay, keep going, because we can edit. That's fine. What do you enjoy about your course? What's the best subject for you?
I enjoy theology subject, ministry subject,
and what do you enjoy about them?
And because I learned how to make diagramming, how to make sermon outline, and how to share the word of God, especially for those people who are not who are not who are not believing in God.
And when you return home, what do you hope to do?
I planning to build the church in my province, because there are only 3 churches and 3 pastors.
So you have a vision of a church planting.
Yes.
That's great. We wish you every blessing, Generic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you for meeting me today. What is your name?
I'm Judy Ann Brace from Angono, Rizal.
And what course are you doing here at ICCM?
Education major.
And what year?
I'm in 4th year college.
For the final year.
Pardon?
Final year.
Yeah, that's
That's great. And what are your hopes? What are your plans for next year?
after I graduate, I am planning to take my licensure exam for teachers, and I want to teach in private school as work experience first.
So start with work experience
Yes.
and build confidence. And what's happened to you coming here to ICCM? Over 4 years, how have you changed?
So many things that have changed. Like before, I was so quiet and so lame, and unlike before now, look at me, too happy person and joyful, and I am now confident of what I am now.
And what have you enjoyed most about ICCM?
I enjoy most here my friends, my classmates, the bonding, the moments, the learnings that I usually in the class, and every knowledge that I'm gaining. Not only knowledge, but also what should we do in our daily lives, the application.
That's great. Thank you very much.